always sunny in a rich man's world.
The lead up to this is just a few comments I have to make about budgeting in general. First question is, have you ever heard the word? And everybody said,
Yes.
of course. It didn't take 23 chapters to get to this point. Did you understand what I just said? You knew the word budget before last August 15th when we started this. You've heard that word a lot in lots of different contexts. Oh my gosh, the federal budget. I mean, just turn on the news and it's going to come out. Agree? You're on a trip and looking for a place to stay. Do you want to rent a car? Or let's cut the budget. Everybody seems to want to do that these days. How about divorce rates in the U.S.? Anybody suppose that some of those could have been the financial strain on the couple caused by, or maybe solved by, proper budgeting? Yes? Would you name me 3 to 5? I'm not going to set my expectations too high. 3 to 5 situations, simple, not unrelated to business, places that you might benefit from knowing about the budgeting process. Where might we need to budget?
Life.
No, be a little more specific than that. That's a little too broad.
Kids.
Let me take that good idea, give you a right answer, and say financing your kids' college education. You and your spouse just had a child. It's never too early to start thinking. You just got engaged. It's never too early to start thinking about your kids' education. Name one.
Retirement.
Yeah. So there we are on two ends of the spectrum. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. When might we need to budget?
Your Sodexo?
Didn't hear you.
Your Sodexo bucks?
What a good answer. So you've got too many, and you're going in the deli buying extra stuff and taking it to your dorm room every day.
Never.
Or you're running low and you're budgeting, trying to make sure you're going to make it through the rest of the semester. What a good answer. I thought of one more. Would you think of one more? When might we need to know the results of budgeting that circumstance? Laura?
Taxes.
Having enough cash in the family situation to be able to pay your taxes. I might be facing that situation myself. Let me just highlight a couple of things the book points out about the budgeting process to get us rolling here, just thinking in that context, business related, to give us some structure to the process that we're attempting to introduce and master. One of the things I'd like for you to see in flipping through the pages and reading just a little bits and pieces of the chapter is what benefits we might derive from that. What are some of the essential things that we need to do to be effective in our budgeting process? It's a little toward that management thing that we're trying to do. The structure of a business budget revolves around what we call the master budget. And the master budget has a whole lot of component parts. And one of your tasks this week is to know which of those parts I'm going to emphasize and hold you accountable for in your homework. We're not going to do the whole thing. We're going to try to keep this a bit lighthearted, but very beneficial to you. Ultimately, we would like to do all these things, components of the master budget, which would lead us ultimately to the cash budget. Everybody wants to know how to manage cash in the company, and the cash budget is an extremely important one. I think you have 2 assignments this week. Is that true or not? Yes? And I don't think either is the cash budget. I'm not absolutely sure. I meant to look before I came to this today. I think the cash budget is a really, really good ultimate outcome of this process. And I'd like for you to look through the pages of the cash budget at least. So on some other slide in the book, we need to talk about, these are some of the things I've just talked about the difference between the budgeting process and the accounting process that has been described to you in these previous 22 chapters. the benefits, I mentioned that one a minute ago. How do we react as supervisors or employees in the process? There's a psychological part of this too. And the better way you manage it and present it, the more effective it's likely to be. I mentioned the master budget a second ago. So these are operating budgets, and our attention is going to be mainly on these four: sales, production, direct materials, direct labor. We may demonstrate all those today. I've got, depending on the amount of time and how effectively I use it. I think that's what your homework problems deal with, is those essential ones to get the whole process started. So let's talk just a bit about the difference between the accounting function that you've experienced to this point and now stretching that to the budgeting function. My view is that accountants are historians, that what we've done, you've done in your homework, we've done in class, is talk about the past. And budgeting seems to focus on the future, the events that take place in the future and how we're going to manage them, be ready for them, and effectively prepare for them. It's management's responsibility to prepare the budget. But the budget is based on numbers, and there are few in the organization that are better with the numbers than the accountants are. So a lot of times as we look to the future, we depend on the past for relationships, for facts, for those things that are happening in the business in order to be able to project them to the future. So it's a combination of those things to make it effective. It needs accounting information, but it needs management's touch to pull it off. And the other one I mentioned in the intro was this behavior. How are we going to sell this and have it to be effective and one that the employees would buy into? Many organizations kind of push the budgeting process down from the top, and therefore it meets with, I'm not so sure I want to participate in that, resistance. If you can involve the employees in the process and show them the benefit of the process, win them over in some sort of participative way, it's likely to be highly more effective in the organization in its implementation. So everybody all wants to encourage you to participate in the budgeting process. Here's another slide from the chapter describing the master budget. Here are all the things that relate to one another, depend on one another most, involved in the master budget. And I think I mentioned a little earlier that we're going to concentrate on just this part. I'd like you to sort of see the sales, production, direct materials, and direct labor budgets and see how they interact with one another as a basis for the entire process. Did you bring your note-taking guide? Yes? Or a laptop? You're perfectly capable of following along with this and learning today. Don't tune me out, okay? But I thought we might experiment with the demo I'm about to do, and to let you follow along, I provided you the template from which I'm working to demonstrate this. In the handout, you've got the facts for the problem. And may I just say that us accepting these numbers this quickly, this is the hardest part, folks. I mean, yes, these are made up numbers, but if these are real numbers in a real life company, this is a whole lot harder. Getting each of these numbers is a whole lot harder than any budget we would prepare on that previous slide. Any budget you pick on that screen, or all of them, are easier to do than rounding up these numbers. Could we just give some credit to the people in the company that know these numbers and provide them for our use? That's the hardest part of the problem. Now, if you have a laptop and have downloaded the file, then you know that there are some tabs down at the bottom of the file that have that information already there. The first tab there is the variables tab. Do you see it? Those of you with laptops open, say yes or no. Have you found it? So what I did was reproduce this information on that first tab. And if you're using your note-taking guide or just trying to benefit from the demo in your own way, then you need to make a conscious effort for everything that I enter on the screen in the next little bit to make sure you see where that comes from. Take notes however you'd like. But if you want to circle and draw lines and draw arrows, or maybe label them in parentheses, A, and then put a parenthesis and connect them together somehow, make it effective for you so that you'll see where each of these amounts comes from. The instructions at the bottom of the information page say, prepare a sales budget, prepare a production budget, a direct materials purchases budget, and a direct labor cost budget, the four that I've enumerated right at this moment. Now, there are lots of ways we could do this. We could do it totally by hand, but I thought this would be a very good application of using the power of an Excel spreadsheet. So whether or not you choose to do your homework this way is not the issue. Whether or not you might be faced in life with this someday is the issue. And you may know more about Excel than I do. And you may surprise me about how little you know about Excel. So it's a double lesson. Let's learn about budgeting, but perhaps leave here knowing Excel just a little bit better than when we walked in the room. Maybe you'll see a tip or two that you didn't know about. Maybe you see some awkward way that I did something that you could come up after class and say, you could have done this a little easier. The sales budget starts with a good heading. And the information in the problem suggests that we've got several products that we sell in several regions of the company. And what we would like to know is how much we're going to sell in the North region. So what I'm going to do is click on that cell and start this formula with, I think it works with plus or equals. I'm going to try plus. And at the bottom of the screen, there's a little tab called variables. And it's this list that you have in your note-taking guide. I want to know the projected number of sales that I expect to sell in the North Division. And I've highlighted that cell, and I'm hitting enter. Now it so happens that, now some of you, I already see puzzled looks. Surely somebody in the room is saying, why didn't you just type 12,000 units? I'm going to show you in a minute, I hope. If I don't, I'll at least talk about it. Okay? You may think this takes a little more time this time. Can you imagine doing the same budget next month? Let me just give you the conclusion at the beginning. If we do it the way I just described, what if one salesman comes running in and says, oh, that report I turned in yesterday, I just got an email from one of my customers and they need 2,000 additional units. So under your approach, get out your eraser and erase that, and then go make all those other calculations by hand. Under my approach, you go change that one number and increase it by 2,000, and everything else is going to fall into place. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. Could I have some affirmation on your face?
Yeah.
Now maybe you already know how to do this, but maybe that's the surprise factor that's on your face. I don't know if you know or not, but you can duplicate cells in Excel by grabbing this little corner and dragging it down like that. So I have one link over to the variables page and found one bit of information. This says that other one was 9,000. Let's go over there and look. Oh my. Shall I make that one zoom too? Let's do it. So do you see where the 9,000 and the 19,000 were brought over there automatically? Say yes or no.
Yes.
Good. Then how about copying these three over to this column? I wonder if that worked. Y'all want to look and tell me? Are those the numbers for product F in the 3 regions? Yes or no?
Yes.
They are. So in that process, I lost my underline, and I can fix that. I want the numbers to be good, but I want it to look pretty too. Now, I need the sum of all these. Surely you know how to sum those columns. It's the power of Excel. Don't get out your calculator and do it on your calculator and type it in there. This is not a word processor. This is a very powerful tool. I'm talking about Excel too much and the budgeting process too little. Was that something that needed explanation? our sales force went out and contacted their customers. And we compiled these amounts of products that we expect to sell to our customers in these various regions. We need to produce enough product to be able to sell those without any interruption. We want to keep our customers happy. I need to know the sales price. So again, I'm starting the formula with plus. I'm going over to the variables page, and there it is, $50. And I'm wondering if that wouldn't be true about this one, so I'm just going to copy that formula to this other cell, and sure enough, I got the right number. Now I need to know the total revenue I'm going to earn from the sales of these products. This is not the hardest thing you're ever going to do. This is just a lesson in common sense. This is just the problem-solving, logical progression of events that we're putting down on a piece of paper. So to solve these, I'm going to start this formula with the equal sign. Click on the first of these. In my office just now, I tried doing this and it didn't work. After I hit the times, which you know in Excel is the asterisk, that's multiplication. This is going to work here, I think. In my office, at this point, the 50 disappears and I can't click on it. And I don't know why. So if it doesn't, you can enter that cell reference yourself. That would be E11, if yours works like mine does, or doesn't work like mine doesn't. You could enter the cell reference. I think it's going to allow me to click on this. So I'm multiplying 40,000 times 50, and you're saying I could have done that a whole lot faster. But then you'd have to do the next one, and what I'm going to do is copy that formula and have the other result here. If you're with me right this minute, say yes.
Yes.
I need a little more affirmation than that, and it's not just a louder yes. Yes. Am I helping you right this minute?
Yes.
Yes or no? Good. Now, the total revenue from sales is the sum of the sales from products E and F. So I'm entering a plus, clicking on this, hitting another plus, clicking on this. The sum of these two sales figures is $515,000. If you're with me right this minute, say yes. We just did a sales budget. Was that the hardest thing you ever did in your life? No. I got one reaction. Thank you. So which budget is this I'm about to prepare? The name of this one is production budget. We ought to put a good heading on it. And we could think about the budgeting process a little bit before we just start slapping numbers in there. How many units do we want to produce? Well, as goals for our company, we would like to have enough products to meet every sale that a customer makes. And that is the two numbers that we just determined on the sales budget. We want 40,000 units of the first product and 45,000 units. Did you hear the first goal? I don't want to lose a sale because I don't have the product. I know I should have that many products. And I should have enough products at the end of the month so that I could begin next month and not have chaos at the company. What if the truckers go on strike? What if some of my materials don't get here? What if some other calamity happens? I want to have a reserve. I want to be able to meet some of the orders next month before I produce next month's quantities. Agreed? So I need enough to meet all the sales and enough to have some that I would carry into next month. That's some. Do I need to produce all of those? Well, if I'm carrying some units to next month, it makes sense that I probably brought some units from last month into this. Could I have some nodded heads here? Yes? I don't need to produce those. I brought them in from last month as the reserve. Let's subtract out those. And that would be the amount of units I wanted to produce. That's the budgeting lesson here. It starts with knowing how many units you're going to sell in order to know how many units to produce. Do you see the connection between this series of budgets and why we were asked to do them in this order? The sales budget starts the process and leads to the production budget. Let's connect these amounts of sales to the previous ones. I clicked plus, and I'm clicking on the total sales, the one marked E10. That's the 40,000 from above. And I'm doing the same thing in the other column. 45,000 units of sales are expected of product F. What do I want to add? The desired beginning inventory or the desired ending inventory? Speak up. I can't believe I had silence. I asked you a question. Do I want to add the beginning inventory or the ending inventory? You weren't listening when I described the goals. The goal of this process is to know how many units to produce. Our main goal is to sell every product, not cause any, oh, sorry, sir, that's backlogged. We won't be able to ship you that for 2 more weeks. Well, I'll just go somewhere else then. You remember the first goal? Have these units, 40 and 45, so that we not lose one sale, not upset one customer. But then, to have a cushion, a reserve. Is that beginning inventory or ending inventory? Say something. You're not talking to me and you know this answer. Talk to me, please. I want some ending inventory. I want more than just enough units to sell those. I want to add some additional units to carry to next month to avoid calamities that might occur. Add the ending inventory. And I don't know those numbers. So let's go find them. I'm going to hit plus and go over to the variables page and see if that information might be some variable. Oh, here it is, item B. Estimated inventories at the beginning of the month. Oh no, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for ending inventory. Item C, I need some ending inventories for each of the types of materials that go into my product. That's not what I'm looking for. I think I'm looking for this 9,100 units of E. Is that the right number? Say yes or no. Agree with me, yes or no? The desired ending inventory of product F was near there, this 10,500 units. Let's sum those two. I need 41,100 and 55,500. So should I just yell out to the production supervisor, produce this much? Yes or no? Shall we produce this much?
No.
Is this the final result?
No.
You ought to be able to figure that out from the screen, folks. There's more lines on this budget. It's pretty apparent. Are we there yet? No. Produce this many? No. Because I've got some already. Under the same mentality that I plan to leave this month with some units on hand. I left last month with some units on hand. I had those to start the month. I don't need to produce them. Let's subtract out beginning inventory or ending inventory. Say something. The beginning inventory. And I bet that number's there somewhere. So let's go see if we can find it. In the variables, the beginning inventory is, you want to help me find it?
Item B.
Item B, the beginning inventory for product E is 7,500 units. And the beginning inventory for product F is 8,000 units. Did I find the two numbers, yes or no?
Yes.
Well, I need to make a calculation. So I'm going to start with the formula. 49,100 minus 7,500. But I didn't do it on my calculator, and I didn't use just those numbers. And I like that so much that I'm going to copy it and paste it in the other column. If you're with me right this minute, say yes. Now, just to give you a quick demonstration of why I like these links and making the whole thing relative, is for you to remember this 47.5 for just a second. And let me go all the way back to the sales budget in the north region for product F. And let's change this 10,000 to 15,000 for fun. Shall we? And go down here and see that this number was updated automatically. That's the point I'm trying to make, to win you over from your word processor mentality to the power of Excel. Let's go change it back. So, we need to produce 41,006 and 47,500 of the two products that we produce. That's to be communicated to the production staff. And there's a domino effect here. Sales budget causes production budget. Production budget causes all sorts of things. How many materials do we need? How many people shall I hire? How much overhead am I going to incur? What amount of money am I going to need to pay for the materials and pay the employees? It's the domino effect, the cause-effect relationship that is nice about this master budget technique. Let's determine how many materials we need to produce the products just described. These two results from the production budget are the beginning thought process of the materials budget. So let's enter those two numbers in these two squares and move from there. Products E and F, we're attempting to produce this many units. And in the variables, it tells about how many direct materials we need for each of those products. Let's go see if we can find some of that information. You can help. For product P, how many units do I use for each product that I produce? In letter which? I think it's D. Help me out here. I think it's item D that says direct materials used in production, the pounds per unit. Have I found the right information, yes or no?
Yes.
So for product P, is that the one I was working on? 2.4 pounds per. Oops, I lost my little pen. This plus, go search for it, 2.4 pounds, enter. For product F, do I use, I only use product P on item E. Yes?
Yes.
Are there any other materials that go into E? Yes. Q and R. So I need Q, that's this one. For product E, material Q is 1.2 pounds. R for product E, it's a little confusing, is 9/10 of a pound. Yes or no?
Yes.
For product F, 1.8 pounds for product F of Q. So let's go over here to Q. And I think that would be right here. Plus 1.8, like that. Hope somebody's auditing me. R for F. R for F is that one number. And S for F is 1.3. So let's say this number times this number is that what I want?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Plus this times this is, now there's a blank in the next one, so let's try copying that to here, and now I know what the problem is. May I have your attention a second? When I copy that to this, both variables should stay relative. Wherever that position is, it should change both positions. I only want to change one position because this position is constant. You see, this formula right here is multiplying by something, that many columns over times this. When I copy that to here, that didn't change, but this did. Did anybody understand what I just said?
Yes.
I want to keep one of those fixed. I think I can do it. So let's try this. Let's edit this formula and put a dollar sign, which has nothing to do with dollars. It just means make it fixed. Don't make it relative. Excuse me. I don't want to do it there. I want to do it in this cell so that I can copy it. So this reference to D35, put a dollar sign before that and a dollar sign before that. Means don't change the column, don't change the row. Make it a fixed reference. Now, if that's a fixed reference, did it change this number at all? Same number. I'm going to copy that and paste it here. Now somebody needs to do that on your calculator to audit me.
This.
Notice the formula on cell. The formula says D35 times I35. It changed the column. It didn't change the row. Who knew that already? Hands up. Who learned that just this minute? Hands up. Good. Maybe it was worth coming to class. Now, I think that if there were any product E, well, I can do it anyway. I don't know if there's going to be product E, so I may as well have the formula there. That should be 0 because there's nothing in this column. Now, for product F, we need to do something similar. So what I think I'll do is copy this formula to here. Why didn't it work?
Because you did put the reference in.
I need to change this to
Not because there's 0 that
a different reference. This time I'm using the 47.5 D36. So I'm going to go edit that formula and change that 5 to a 6. There's no product there, but I still think it's the right formula. So copy this to here, and it should have worked.
keep it constant.
Yeah, put your fixed. Put your fixed.
I thought I did.
You just
All
changed
right.
the 35 to fixed.
Okay, thank you. I thought I did that already. So let's make that formula work. Copy, paste, then paste it here. And I could audit that one in my head because it was 1. Do you see 47.5 times 1 is 47.5? And paste it there. And folks, I'm telling you, this is time-saving stuff. And my general experience is it takes a little longer to enter it the first time and saves tons of times the second, third, fourth, fifth, and to infinity time. The problem with presenting this in class is that every week we start a new chapter. We never go to the next month like you do in business, or go to the next month like you do in business. We never get a continuation problem where we see this benefit happen over and over again. We start new problems every time. Add the beginning inventory or the ending inventory. Hello? Add the beginning inventory or the ending inventory? Add the ending inventory. We've got that number someplace, don't we? I think this is 9,100 on the previous budget. Or this is for materials, excuse me. We gotta find that. This is product P. Yes or no? This is product P, ending inventory. So let's go over to the variables page. Help me find ending inventory for product P.
Under C.
Item C, 9,000. Q, desired ending inventory. Q's desired ending inventory is 16,500. R's desired ending inventory, 8,000, I believe. S's desired ending inventory is 6,000. Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
So I need to sum these pounds. Total pounds required. It looks to me like I should be able to sum all of those. I sure hope somebody in the class is thinking and finding my mistakes if I'm making them. I've got a solution here. Let me do check figures real quick. Yes. Do I need to produce all those? Or buy all those, I should say. Do I need to buy all those? No, because if I'm having some ending inventory taking it to next month, it is likely that I brought some beginning inventory into this month. Let's subtract out the beginning inventory. And those numbers are probably given in the variables, don't you guess? in letter. Estimated inventories at the beginning of the month, letter B. We had 8,500 pounds of P. We had 18,000 pounds of Q. 7,000 pounds of R. And 6,500 of S. And if you're only taking notes and not looking at the facts and seeing where they're coming from, I don't think you're learning quite as much as I'd like you to. The pounds to be purchased then would be the pounds required minus the beginning inventory. So let's write a formula. In this first cell, I'm going to start with the 108,840, subtract from that 8,500. I got 100,340 pounds. And if that's true, I should be able to copy that result to these four. And if you were doing that by hand and we race, I bet I just won. Not that I'm competitive or anything. Let's multiply that by the number of pounds, the price that we expect to pay per pound. The prices are in letter D. I'm seeing D, but I'm not hearing you say back D to me. Have I found the right number here? $1.50, yes or no?
Yes.
And for Q, the price per pound is expected to be 75 cents. And for the next one, $5. God bless you. And for the next one, $2.60. Do I have the facts right? Anybody want to tell me what we should do to get these numbers? I'm doing too much talking, you're doing too little. So apply some common sense here. What are we going to do? Multiply the total pounds to be purchased by the price we're paying. Let's see if we can do that. So in this cell, the result I'd like would be to multiply that number times this number and make it relative. I got 150,510. That's pounds. No, that's dollars. We ought to format some of these. That's dollars. I think I'll format this right this minute and change that format. Why didn't it pop up? Took a while. Let's change that to currency with no decimals, just to see if it'll fit in here. And the beauty of changing the format now would be that when I copy it and paste it these other places, the formatting goes with it. So I've got these cash needs. Do you see how this information would lead up and ultimately provide information to the cash budget? Some way I've got to come up with enough cash to be able to buy those materials to achieve the production goals that I have for the current month. The total cost of the materials purchased then would be the sum of this plus this plus this plus this. I got 839,900. If you're with me right this minute, say yes.
Yes.
Could you anticipate how the labor budget would work? Did we learn something in this process that would help you extend that to the next thought process of the labor budget? Yes? Have a nice day.
All the things I could do if I had a little money. It's a rich man's world. It's a rich man's world.